Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We will wait for just 20-30 seconds for people to join, to settle in. Just a few seconds.
Yeah.
So great. We already have like almost 70 of you with us. It's so nice. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, almost 100 now. Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of people.
that's so great. We know that we published the invite pretty last minute, but we're so grateful. We had more than 500 people who registered, which makes us feel like we will give you something extremely useful today. Thank you all. Hello from Bahrain. Oh, that's great. Yeah, please use the chat, tell where you're coming from and what are you looking for from this session. I think we can slowly start while people join in. So hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, which is called Introducing QGIS to Urban Practitioners. It's a pleasure to have you all here, so many of you. My name is Anastasia Sukharoslava. I am CEO and founder of All Things Urban, and we're hosting this session together today with Juan Pablo Corral, who is my dear collaborator, project partner, and the main course curator and the main instructor for our course about GIS and spatial analysis for urban practitioners. And I'm so glad to host this session together with Juan and host the course together because Juan is an exceptional GIS expert who had experience across continents, across different sectors, who managed to make a way from architecture to urbanism, like many, I think, of us are in the audience, and who brought a lot of experience about maps, about GIS, about practical tools in this field. So I'm really, really glad and honored to be together in the session with Juan. So as you get settled, I want you to know, like you might have all noticed, that this session will be recorded. So all of you can revisit it later. We'll send you the recording. Also, those of you who couldn't join due to the last minute invite, we will also send the recording so everyone can see it. A few logistical things. So just a reminder how the Zoom interface works for you. So at the bottom of your screen, you would see different buttons. So you see a chat section, which you're already using, which is great. And there is also a Q&A section. If you don't see it, you should click for the button with 3 dots saying more. Then you will see the Q&A window. And we encourage you to post your questions to Juan and to myself, both about QGIS and about our upcoming course there, because it will be easier for us to track your questions and answer them. There's also a function for you to upvote them. So you can upvote and they will see the most popular ones. We received a lot of questions during your registration. Thank you for that. So we also tried to cluster them, find the most popular, and we will start today with answering them, but also answer all the live questions. We know that sometimes we run out of time for a lot of questions, but today we really tried and we'll do our best to structure the session the way that we have time for as many questions as possible, because that's the goal of the session, also to answer all your questions. Yeah, as I said, please use the chat, say where you're coming from, what are you looking for. I will also join the discussion and post it there to everyone. I'm coming from Berlin. Juan is joining us from Chile. Quite international crowd today. The last thing before I give the floor to Juan, I will tell you what's our structure for the session today. We will be together for approximately 1 hour. So we will start with these introductions. I will finish soon, and then we'll give the floor to Juan. And the first part will be about this live QGIS demo for urbanists, for all of you, where Juan will guide you through key QGIS features, show you how to set base maps, how to acquire data, create powerful visualizations, which will be helpful for your work. So you will see how these tools can help you elevate your work, how they help you solve different problems, and you will get out of the sessions with a lot of practical tools, which you can implement right away. And that's our goal today. Then we will take a little Q&A break when we will ask Juan a few questions about QGIS, which you asked us during the registration. Then we will tell you more about the new GIS and spatial analysis course we're doing, because we know that many of you, at least some of you, wanted to join the course or might have questions about the course, and we are here to tell you as much as possible about it, and also make sure that you're sure whether that's something for your career or not. So please also ask your questions about this. Then we'll show you all the modules and all the structure about the course. And the last part will be the long Q&A until the end of the session. We will answer as many questions as we can. So just to wrap up, once again, I'm Anastasia. I'm the head of All Things Urban. Those of you who came here for different channels and might not know who we are, All Things Urban is the largest and the most popular career platform for urbanists, for everyone from architects to urban planners to urban transport practitioners, consultants, real estate experts. And we are here to help you grow professionally. We're here to show you the best jobs, education opportunities, and events in the field and help you grow as professionals. And one of the ways how we do it, we decided to launch this course. This is one of them, the one we're doing with Juan about GIS and doing such webinars. So we are very grateful to have you all here. And without further ado, Juan, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself to the audience and show us all the practical tips and tricks that you prepared.
Yeah, many thanks for the introduction, Anastasia, and many thanks to everyone for being here. I'm super excited of doing this class and show you some practical skills that you can use for your work. So let me just share my screen so I can introduce myself and also what we're gonna see today. So if you can, Anastasia, if you can confirm that you see my screen, is it all good?
Yes, all good. If anyone has any problems, please message in the chat, but I think we're all good here.
Okay, so today's class or webinar is about introducing QGIS, or the first part, because we remember we have two parts. The first part is about QGIS for urban practitioners. But first, let me introduce myself, who I am, and I'm an architect from Chile. I studied in Chile in the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. In my early years, I worked as an architect, in the design environment, working on mid to large scale projects. And after that, I also worked, I had some research experience at the Harvard GSD and with Avalos and Centrivisic, both in Boston. I also worked for some designs for pavilions in some biennales in Venice and Shenzhen. And after that, in 2017, I moved to London to do my master's degree, and it was about cities, a city design at the LSE. And I think it was for me kind of starting point for working with GIS and working as an urban design consultant and urban design a consultant for different problems within the urban environment, for urban planning, real estate consultancy, and more. And it was my starting point with GIS. And after that, last year, I also worked at Feld, which is a GIS startup based in San Francisco, where I worked there for doing a user engagement and demonstration, product feedback, and more. So what I always say is that from the last 7 to 8 years, I've been producing maps for different purposes for the private and public sector, real estate, and urban studies and more. But I'm also an architect, so I have this background. I have this training. I also love aesthetics and communicate the things with the right colors and right scales and more. So that's something that I've been working on, and that's are some of the skills that I would like to share with you today. So just to start with this, just a quick introduction about GIS, because we always talk about maps, but basically what allows us to prepare maps and style them, visualize and analyze them is GIS. And GIS is basically a system that allows you to capture, store, analyze, and visualize data. But this data is not, it has something special, because this data has a geographic component that allows you to visualize data on a map. And that's very interesting because this is the system that allows us to create maps, to analyze stuff, and to do all different outputs, and that we can do with GIS as urban practitioners. So there is this second question, what is GIS for us? So this is based on my experience, a personal experience, but I think it will be very relevant to you, because I think GIS for us is first of all efficiency, because you can do many things that you do like a normally in your daily workflow, like with GIS, and make it like a much quicker, faster, more efficient. Let's say like a checking a zoning plan where you're creating like a new project, or you're analyzing like some like a location in a city. With GIS, you can do this like a way faster, way faster. Secondly, I think it opens like opportunities like in other fields and allows you to stand out from other professionals, because I think you can be like an architect, urban designer, and more, and you can manage to design like a good designs, but knowing something about like a data, and it also like upskills you like your work and also your teams. And finally, for those more interested in like the world of data, maybe data science, IoT, programming, SQL, Python, and more, I really think that GIS for us is like at the starting point to be maybe like an urban analytics professional, or going into like a more like a deeper within this like environment. So to do this, like to work with GIS, there are obviously many different like software options, but the one I use and that I do recommend is QGIS, and this is because of three main reasons. The first one, because this is super powerful. It's incredible powerful, and you can perform like a complex spatial analysis like processes that I'm sure that even if you are like a QGIS expert, you won't be able to use all the tools that it has like available. Secondly, because this is a free software, open source, which is great because it's super powerful. You can create like you can work with this like free, like without need to pay like for users or licenses or more. And third, this is like a quite versatile software because it has like a great community, and they have developed like many plugins and more, which are very useful for different like industries. So those are, I will say, the main reasons why I use QGIS. So said that, let me start with this like QGIS demo, like for urban applications, where I will show you how to acquire data, how to set base maps, and how to load data into QGIS, and also make like some visualizations to analyze your data. So I will stop sharing my screen, and then I will share my QGIS window with you.
While you're doing this, I will remind everyone that we have this Q&A box, and we encourage you to post your questions there, because we started receiving a few questions in the private chat with us. So please, everyone, post it in the Q&A so we don't lose them during the session. Sorry for interruption, Juan. The floor is yours.
No, don't worry. That's like a perfect. So yeah, for you that like first of all, I will share with you like a document which is this one. We'll send this like with the recording, which is this one. Sorry, this one, where you'll have access to all the things that I'm mentioning here. Like first of all, how you can download QGIS. So please don't like go to like a QGIS now and try to install that. I will prefer you to like listen what I'm saying, and then you can access this document that we will share with you the URL like in an email with the recording of this session, so you can do all this like work by yourself like later. And also I will share like how to set base maps, which is something that I will show you now. Plus we have included different links to set base maps in QGIS. So please, like I will share this document with you. So make sure that you will get like this like afterwards. So first of all, when you open QGIS, you will see something like this, which is like an empty, or you will see like a black screen here, like a black background. So the first thing that you need to do while working with QGIS is to set like a base map. And the good thing here is that you can add like a multiple base maps and different base maps. For instance, you can set like some Carto, like a base maps, like a Carto Dark. I think this is one of my preferred base maps, like with this like a black tones. And the way of like setting a base map in QGIS is pretty easy. And basically you need to go to here, like to the browser tool, to the browser panel, press here, and then you set like here, you need to press here like a right button, and then you go to new connection. And there this window will appear. And here you need to just copy and paste the links that we will share with you later. So If you go here, you just copy this like a URL, which is to set like a OpenStreetMaps, and in this case, it's OpenStreetMaps standard. You just copy this URL, and then you go back to QGIS. You paste the URL, and then I will put here OSM standard 1, just to make sure that we see this new addition. So it will appear here, and then you just do double click, and then you will have this like a different like a base map. And this is pretty useful because different base map will allow you different visualizations and more. So it's pretty nice to have your library here of like a different base maps. So this is the first thing that we will learn today, like how to set base maps. And secondly, we'll learn how to acquire data and how to visualize this in QGIS. So to do this, I will go to this link. And again, this is the Lawton data store, where in the document, we have left all these links for you that we will share this document with you later. So you have access to all this information. So in this case, I will work with data from the London data store, which is like a great, like a portal where you can access like a different data for London in this case. And in this case, I will work with data from like the London boroughs data. So in this case, I will download this like a file, which is like a geo package. And the normal extensions for like a geospatial data, at least in this kind of portals, will be like a geo package, like a shapefile, maybe a CSV or GeoJSON. Those are the normal type of files that you will like get access in this type of like a portal. So I will download this, and this will appear in my folder where I have this. This is the file. And to upload this into QGIS, you just need to drag and drop this file, and then it will automatically appear. If you go to here to some layer, it will appear on your map. I will use my Cartodark base map, and it will appear on your map. And the great thing about QGIS is that you can not only see what is on this like a file, but also if you go to the table, which is this one, you can inspect the data that this like a layer has attached. So in this case, we can see that there is like a column with the names. And then, for instance, I can press this one, and then I know that this borough like of London is Kingston upon Thames. This is Croydon, Bromley, and more. So you can inspect your data, which is great for different like purposes. So after that, so this is one way of getting data. You can get data from files. I have downloaded this like a file, but you can also get access to data from servers. So here I have some other like layers, like on my on this folder. I have like a railway, register park. These are shape files. In the previous case, it was like a geo package. This is the extension that you can see here. And I will also add data about like stations in London. And for all of this, you can visualize the data, but also you can inspect the table to see what is included there. So this is the first way of acquiring data and to visualize it in QGIS. This is like by dragging and dropping like the right file on this like a window. But also, and this is also great, you can get access from servers. And this is great because there are like two main difference between getting access like from file and getting data from servers. The first is that you will make sure that you're always getting the newest version of like a file. And the second is that by getting access to data from servers, you can get like multiple files at once. So let's go, for instance, to to Croydon. This is the link. And again, this link is here, like in the document that we will share with you. I will get access to about data from, let's say, the city of London in this case. So I can go here, and it will show that there is like a server like where all this data is stored. So I will copy this like from clipboard, and see that it shows this here, that it says this link to web mapping service that is used by the planning data map. So that means that you can connect to the data store on the servers and access it from like in your like QGIS, like from your desktop. So you will copy this here, and then you will go to this and ArcGIS REST servers, and again you will press like a right button, then new connection. You will paste the URL, and then this is city of London data. And then okay, and then it will appear here. So it's loading, and this is, I think this is great because you can access like a multiple layers like from the city of London at once, like let's say airport safeguarding. You just need to do double click here, and then it will show this like on your map. Let me just turn off this. So I can also bring, let's say, open space update, monuments, view settings. So by connecting to this server, I can get access to different like sources of data and layers that I can use for like a further use. So this is the second way of getting access to data. So the first one that I show you was like from files, where you need to drag and drop your file on your like onto your like a QGIS desktop. And the second is by like, it's from servers, which is by connecting to ArcGIS REST servers, and there are other options that we can cover in our course, that we will cover in our course. So this is like how to acquire and visualize data. But now I will show you how you can visualize or like change the visualization for your layers. That means that you can change the colors, you can set like different sizes to the points, you can set different like lines, in this case for the railways. So to do that, you need to, let me close this. So you need to do double click on like each layer, in this case, London boroughs. And then you go to this like icon, which shows the visualization. And in this case, I will change, if you go here, you can change the color of the field, but you can change the color of the stroke. So in this case, let's set like a white line for the polygons, and also let's say some kind of white, more transparent kind of like a gray for the polygons, and then it will apply it here. So, and then we can also go to the stations, double click, go to visualization symbol here, and then you go to here to simple marker, and then you can also change the visualization. Let's say we will put black color here, white stroke for the point, and then you can also change the size of the point of the station. Let's say I will put this 1.5, and then it will be applied here. And then we can do the same for the parks. Double click. We can set a different, like a kind of green, maybe more a darker one, so it will look nicer. You can also set like a transparent stroke if you want to get rid of it. Then okay, and it will look like this. And finally, what I will do is for the boroughs, I will add like a label that you can go here. If you do double click, then you go here to labels. You can use like a single label. And here what it will do, it will ask you to set a value for the label. In this case, I will use name, and I will set like a mask, a buffer here, like a wet buffer, and I will show you, and then I will set, this is fine with 10. You press 10, you press OK, and then it will show the labels for each borough. And this data, if you go here, if you come back to the table, basically what it asks you is like what is the column or the field that you want to use to show the labels here. So I use name, this is the name, and this is all the data attached to each like a polygon. And then if we go here to show you this again, we go here to labels. Here you set the value. This is name, which is the same that I set here. So this is why this data is shown on your map. And yeah, I think this is like what I wanted to cover here. So I think We have covered everything that we said in the description of this webinar, which is first, how you can set base maps. Second, how you can acquire data from files and from servers. From files, remember that you just need to drag and drop the file on your map. From server, you need to copy the URL and paste it. Like in this case, for ArcGIS server, you can do this here. And then to visualize, you need to do double click and then go to this icon, and then you can set different visualizations. Obviously, there are a way more a complex visualizations, but this is something that we will cover in a course that we will discuss later today. So I think this is the demonstration, Anastasia. So I think we are done with this, and maybe we can move to the questions. If there are some questions, I don't know.
Thank you, Juan. It was very helpful, at least for me, because I'm not such a pro in GIS and QGIS, and I always learned something from you. Thank you so much, and I'm sure the audience found it also very helpful. We started getting a lot of questions already in the Q&A box, and as we discussed, we had a lot of questions even during the registration. So I suggest we have this little Q&A breakout now about QGIS specifically and what you showed us, and I will ask you a few questions which we got from the participants. So the first one will be about QGIS and other GIS tools. So there was one question which I saw now in the Q&A chat, which is related to that. And we got one question during the registration. Maybe I will ask you both so you can combine the answer. The first one was pretty straightforward. A lot of people ask when you signed up, what are the differences between QGIS and ArcGIS? Because we know that many practitioners sometimes use the different tool, and they're asking what is the difference. Maybe the tools can be what they learn can be transitioned to another tool. And another question we got today during the session. I really appreciate that you're going open source for this course. In the US, ArcGIS is very dominant among design firms and public agencies. I'm curious if there are any reasons why you should choose to use Esri or another software package if it's up to you, aside from your employer has licenses. Are there certain use cases when QGIS wouldn't be your first choice for a project? I noticed in the course syllabus it does say that you will be teaching transferable skills between different GIS software packages. That's really helpful way to frame the course. Thanks. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the differences between them and how the skills maybe also taught during the course would be helpful for everyone in the audience.
Yeah, I think the main differences are between QGIS and ArcGIS. The first one is that QGIS is open source, so it's free to use. You don't need a license. You just need to download the file, install it on your computer, and that's it. And ArcGIS, obviously, it has licenses and more. But the way as they work is pretty similar in a way that you can do a similar kind of analysis. You can use a similar tool, similar type of visualization. So this is pretty similar. And also the files that you can use for both are kind of similar. So the typical file extension for Esri, a software, is a shapefile that you can also import this into QGIS. Or if you're working with more complex data sets, let's say a geospatial database, you can also import this into QGIS. So I think in terms of a functioning or in terms of tools, they're pretty similar. But the main differences are as someone suggested, there are maybe ArcGIS is more an enterprise type of a software because it has a different servers, and also Esri has a different kind of add-ons that are useful for different purposes. And ArcGIS is more maybe personal or maybe for personal kind of use, and also for companies, but it doesn't have this a kind of hosting for servers included in the software. So yeah, I think that's something are the main differences.
Great. Thank you so much, Juan. Now I suggest we move to a little bit a broader question, and we did receive some questions during registration, how you can actually apply GIS in urban design and landscape. If you're an urban designer or landscape architect, what are the applications in your opinion?
Yeah. Well, I think there are many applications, to be honest. Personally, I've been doing a location analysis, a network analysis, helping people to set the right mix of use based on data for an architectural urban design project. So there are many uses. But if I can like organize the ideas, I think the main uses could be two. Like one is to just like a survey data, or to go to a data set and then analyze that and say, okay, this data is included, do like some checks, like a general checks, and then to access to information basically. And the second use will be something like a more complex, and we will cover both in our course, which is more about like a spatial analysis, which is useful for location analysis, for network analysis. So it's more about like analysis. The first one is more about data only, access data and see what's there. And the second is about like analyzing data and producing outputs based on the data sets you're working with.
Thank you. So, and the last question in this short Q&A break we have is, what are the most important functions one should know as an urban planner, as an urbanist? And I guess it will be also a nice transition to the second part of the session when we tell a bit more about the course and what we think that you should all know about QGIS to become more professional, to grow career-wise.
Yeah, I think I will say like maybe, or yeah, one of the most important things that you need to know is how to acquire data, because this is key. If you don't have the right data, if you don't have the data, basically, you cannot work with GIS, and that's like a key. So learning how to get data from geoportals, or how to scrape data, or how to get data from other sources, I think it's key. And specifically in QGIS, it's key to know what we just saw just now, like how to acquire data from a file, how to visualize this, how to acquire data from servers, how you can get like a multiple layers at once. So I think this is like a key, how to acquire data. For me, it's the starting point, but at the same time, it's one of the key skills that you need to acquire while working with GIS.
Thank you, Juan. Yeah, and we did have some questions also about how to acquire data, but I think we will save them for the second Q&A part, which will be at the end of the webinar today. And maybe now we could briefly show the structure of the course and tell how what you just said about the skills actually is reflected in the program of the course, which we co-created together with you. Maybe I will just give a super quick intro before you dive into the modules. So for those of you who didn't have a chance to check our website, I will actually also put it in the chat so you can save and check it later, where we try to put as many information as possible. You can also dive into the frequently asked questions section at the end. So our course called GIS and Spatial Analysis for Urban Practitioners, it's a 6 weeks online skill building, very practical course, which will be divided into 6 modules. So 1 module per week. That will be a mix of live sessions, when Juan will show you and guide you like similar like we did today, but in a more extended way and with more details. And we will also save these videos and send them to you right after the session. So if the schedule doesn't work for you, you can always revisit them later. You can watch it again and repeat it. We will send you the files which are associated with this exact lesson of today. And you will get a lot of practical exercises which we can use. There are different plans which we will tell you later. Some plans also allow you to have Q&As and direct feedback from Juan. Some of them have even like one-on-one calls when you can bring your project, bring your problem, and get a reply. So we start next month, the 9th of November. There is still a lot of time for you to discover the program. And now we're going to tell you a little bit more what waits you inside. And also, please feel free to ask your questions, as I said, and we are happy to answer all of them today.
Okay, good. Yeah, let me just going a bit deeper on the content of this course. As Anastasia was saying, we will have 6 modules, where the first two are a bit more introductory or kind of theoretical. Not theoretical in a way that you need to learn everything, because this is only for urban practitioners, and what we want to show here are the key concepts for people within this environment. So in module number 1, it's like a kind of introduction to GIS, where you will learn the basics and the importance for us, like a typical case studies. And also I will show you a case study in detail where we have used GIS for solving like an urban problem. In the module number 2, I will show you the basics. I will explain what is like a vector layer, a raster layer. You will also understand what are the common field types, what's a text field, what is a number field, and the differences in terms of visualization and more. You will learn how to acquire data from different sources, and also we'll show you other case studies about this. Module 3 to 6 or module 3 to 5, sorry, are more about a QGIS. The first one, module 3, is the essential tools for setup, a layer management and visualization, where we'll explain first of all how you can install QGIS and the key concepts and tools to set, let's say, map projections, setting base maps, organizing layers, and working with the attribute tables, and also creating new layers, creating your own data. Module number 4, it's about the geospatial analysis and processing tools, where we'll show you the essential tools that we use in the urban field to do geospatial analysis. And also we'll show you different techniques to get statistics or use overlap analysis between different layers and get use of your data. Module number 5, it's about geospatial data management and exporting. This is interesting because normally when someone explains to you a software, it's about, okay, this is how you work with this. But here we also give you some a guiding about how you should manage your geospatial data, because this is a big problem when working with this type of data, because you have different versions, you have different data sets and more. And this is something key, at least in the terms of the urban environment, to work with geospatial data. And also you will learn how to export your data, how you can create your own maps, how you can create a different maps with different resolutions and sizes and legends and more. And the module number 6 is about, I will show you a methodology where we will take all the content from the previous modules, and I will show you a case study where we go from acquiring data to visualize this, to analyze this, to do geospatial analysis, and then to export the maps. And the idea here is that you can recreate this methodology with your own project. And that's a module number 6. And for those Anastasia will show you which are the tiers that we have in our course. But for those in the advanced and premium tiers, we will give you a personalized feedback on your own project.
Juan, maybe before you move to the next slide, I wanted to jump in with one question we had from the audience, which will be relevant to the modules. So Hrab, who already actually joined us as the student, it's very nice to see people who already signed up in the audience. He's asking, what are the key things regarding analysis which we will not cover? So people also, we manage their expectation. We know that we will cover quite a lot, but is there something you feel like people should not expect, because we cannot cover it all? I
think at least for me, GIS is as I said, it's a gateway to do multiple stuff. It's great how many things you can do. But for instance, there's a few things that I will show you how to do that, but I will not show you all the applications because it's impossible. For instance, when you're working with a data set, you can do arithmetic operations between fields. Let's say you have a population in one borough, and then you have the density, and then you can do a arithmetic, or you can do calculations between this. So I will show you the basic things about how you can use the field calculator, but I won't explain you all the operators and things that you can do with this. So there are things which are more, it's inviting you to know the basics of some things, and then with this you have the right tools to go deeper and deeper in depending on your interest. So I will say, yeah, I think it's opening a lot of doors, and then you can know which one is the right for you. But in general terms, I will show you how to acquire data, how to visualize data, how to analyze data, how to do geospatial analysis with the typical tools that an urban professional would do, and how to export your projects. And especially in the part where we will explain geospatial tools, this is where I leave a lot of doors open for you to go deeper and deeper depending on your interests.
Yeah, and obviously those who will have Q&A sessions or private calls with you, with one of the team, they can ask more questions. And I want to also highlight again what you said at the beginning, that we really did our best to make this course as practical as possible for urbanists, for urban practitioners, because we know there are so many videos and resources online, which are like endless videos with a lot of useless stuff for all of us. And we try to go like only to the core, which is extremely useful, extremely practical for you, and which we can use in all your projects in your future, maybe consulting, and like which will maybe help you also elevate yourself professionally, increase your income, etc. So we really try to do it specifically for urbanists.
Yeah, that's something super important because this is a course not about QGIS, but it's like about QGIS for urban practitioners. So everything which is explained here, it's based on like a professional experience, based on what you will need to, let's say, to do like an urban study. We are like equipping you with all the tools to do that, and not about like covering all about QGIS, how to do like a lot of all the stuff, but all the stuff which are important for this type of use. So that's like something important. And apart from the classes, like you will have like 4 assets which we will give you as part of this course. So the first one is this guide to QGIS, which I will say it's the only like guide available online, like specifically for us, like for people in the urban field, which I will show you how it works and how it looks like just like in a minute. Also, we'll give you like slides where I will be explaining all the concepts that and tools and more that we will cover during the course. And third, I will give you, or I will share with you all the QGIS projects and files that I use while explaining concepts. So let's say I'm explaining you like how to do buffers, and these files and these like styles and everything, we will share with you a folder like this with all the modules, and then you will have like the different like names of the tools that we are using, and then a QGIS project, and then the data that we are using for this, we will share this with you, so you can do your own like a learning process after the course like finishes. And about the guide, this is the guide, and as I was saying, I think this is a great resource for you, because if you're listening to our like classes, obviously you will get like a most of it. But if you want to come back or do like to reinforce some concept, you can come back to this guide and then get all the material needed for like a learning all the tools that we will cover here. So this guide has the same organization that you see in our modules. So module number 1 is Introduction to GIS. Module number 2 is Working with GIS, the basics, where we will explain which are the main field types, like a vector layers, what's a raster layers, which are the sources of raster data, and more. All the concepts that we will cover through the classes. But which is great is that here you can also have like a kind of tutorials like that can explain you like in this case like how you can work with the attributes table. So this is the same that I will cover in the classes, but also you have this document that will show you like the key tools that you need to know in order to perform like a spatial analysis or to analyze data. So for instance, when you're working with the table, you need to do like a selections to the table, understand which polygon you're working with or you're selecting. Let's say how you can move the selection to the top. Let's say when you select like a polygon, that the data that you see is always to the top, which are pretty basic in this case things, but are quite useful for your workflows in QGIS. How you can edit the table, which is more complex, multi-edit more and more. So it's full of content that you will get as part of this QGIS guide for urban practitioners. And coming back to the slides, and then also we'll share for advanced and premium people, we'll share like a library with more than 100 geospatial URLs to geospatial portals like a worldwide, which is great because you can get data from different like parts and do your own maps and analysis like with this data.
Yeah, so in terms of the structure of the course, how we decided to structure it, as we said, there will be classes for everyone. Whatever tier you choose, you will have live sessions where Juan will guide you through all the tools. And we schedule them for Saturdays because we know how important it is to you to have energy and time to dive into this knowledge. And we know that many people are working and have families. So we decided that Saturday is a good time. But if at some point one of the dates don't work for you, don't worry, there will be recordings. And as I said, we will send them within one day. You will receive them and you can revisit it again. Then for those of you who joined advanced and premium plans, we will schedule Q&A sessions where you can come with your questions about your practice, your problems. You ask them and Juan will answer them for 1 hour in live format. That's the way for you to get live feedback and even deepen your knowledge. And those of you who will join the premium, they will also get a chance to have 2 exclusive one-on-one calls with Juan, where you will, for 45 minutes, dive into your exact problem, case study, and whatever you faced during your studies. You can find all this on the website. There are like all the schedule, all the details. And if you have any questions and you have still some concerns, please feel free to email us at hello@allthingsurban.net, and we will answer you within 2 working days, and we'll be happy to help. So now, before moving to the Q&A, I will briefly tell you also about the plan. So the registration is already on. We started like a week ago. We already have actually a lot of people signing up. So also don't postpone, because we try to keep this cohort very limited, and we try to give as much quality as possible. So places will end soon, but we still have them, so please join. We have early bird pricing until the 20th of October, so until the end of Sunday. So you still have time to explore and sign up. We have 3 ways for you to join, 3 tiers. The first one is self-study. It's when you join the live sessions with Juan, you get access to the core materials and you do it yourself. You explore, you can revisit the videos again and just do it on your own, or maybe with your friend or colleague. We also encourage you to join as teams. You will get access to the QGIS guide, which Juan showed you previously. You will get 4 months of access to these materials, and at the end you will get a certificate of attendance, because since it's not a feedback tier, we cannot really check your work. So in total, you will have 6 live training sessions and full access to self-paced learning. Those of you who joined already or will join the advanced tier, the difference is that you also get access to these Q&A sessions where you can bring your questions. You can ask the questions before the session. We will answer them during these sessions in live format. If some of you timing doesn't work, we will make sure your question is answered. You can submit it prior to the session, and Juan will make sure that it's answered, so you can listen to the answer afterwards when we send you the video. Once again, all the videos will be sent to you within 24 hours or even sooner. And in this case, you will also get access to the closed course chat. I saw that a lot of you shared some LinkedIns in the chat. So what we try to do, we want you to meet each other, to exchange your challenges, to learn from each other, and also to stay connected, maybe find new colleagues, friends, clients, and just stay connected. So you'll also get access to the chat and to exclusive library of global GIS data portals. I saw that some people asked us in the Q&A and in the chat, what do I do? How do I find the data? So we prepared it for people on advanced and premium tiers. You will get links which Juan gathered throughout the years, more than 100 links of data which you can use, and you can use it your work and your personal practice. And you will also get a certificate of completion when you successfully submit the final project, which we will give you the last module. Those of you who decide to join us for the premium, the main difference is that you get direct access to Juan. You will have 2 calls for 45 minutes where you can discuss your specific projects, career challenges, and get the expert guidance. You will get support via a specific exclusive chat where you can ask your questions during studies. You will get lifetime access to all the network and personalized project review. So when you submit the final project, we will give you very detailed feedback, how it could be done better, so you leave the course prepared. We structure the course the way that we start in November. We finish live sessions by before the Christmas time in December. So you are ready before the end of the year with all the theoretical knowledge, with all the input. And then those of you who will work on the project in advanced and premium tiers, you will have a month to complete your project. You submit it, and by the end of January, you will all have a certificate, which you can add to your LinkedIn, to your portfolio, and ready to start the new year with new skills. a few last words from my side that, as I said, we do have early bird until the end of the week. So please don't postpone. It will be the lowest discount we offer for this cohort. Also, this is the last cohort for this year. So last chance to join. And we're not sure yet when we start the next one. So please don't postpone. We do have option to pay in installments for those of you for whom the price might seem a little bit high. So this is one option. And students, if some of you are currently enrolled in the university, we do have 30% off for you. There is a form you can submit by clicking on the website, which you see on the screen, and we get back to you also within 2 working days and help you enroll in the course with better conditions. As I said, if you have any questions, please email us at hello@allthingsurban.net. We will reply to you. And now we will move to the Q&A session. I will super briefly ask Juan a few questions about the course just to wrap up this module, and then we will go through the questions which you submitted in the Q&A box and during the registration. We'll try to be very concise and be like in a fast track mode. Maybe we will be 5-7 minutes later. Those of you who can stay, please do. If you have to go exactly at in 10 minutes, we will send you the video. So Juan, super quickly about the course, maybe if you could help us clarify. So is it necessary to install QGIS before the class starts?
Not necessary, because I will show you how to install this like in the first class. So I will share with you the link. I will also recommend you which version you should be using. So that's something that we'll do like during the course.
Great. I see the question in the chat now. Will there be a second cohort? Yes, we're planning to have more cohorts, but right now all our efforts been on the first one. We don't know yet when we will do the second one. Maybe there will be some modifications. So we really encourage you to join now, because we see that the seats are filling up, and I believe that also the prices and conditions for the next one will be a bit different. So we suggest you to not postpone, and also given that you will have access to the materials even after we start. Juan, what are the data sets included in the packages? So what data sets will people have when they enroll?
You will get all, as I was saying before, I will show you the tools and processes and everything that we will do through examples basically. And these examples, they have a QGIS project plus data sets, and that's everything that we will share with you, the folders with the file, with everything, with the right styles. We'll share this with you as part of the course. So everything that you see on my screen, you will get access to all these files, layers, data sets, and more.
And plus those who are in advanced and premium will also get the access to all the resources to download data which you collected, right? For more than 100 things. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is a table where, yeah, for those that has been working on this for a while you are working on a city or on a project or on a country or something, you need to collect data or you need to collect links. And if you do this in an organized way, you will have a data set, a table with a different links to different data sets from different countries. So that's what I have done during the years, where, for example, you have for the UK, let's say 7 links to different data sets where you can get access to census data, environmental, the London data store that I showed you just before, and more. And the same for the US, Spain and other countries.
Mm-hmm. And can you give a brief information about the plugins? How reliable are they? Are they subject to a check by the QGIS community? What are the most necessary use plugins? So can you just briefly tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, really nice question. I think, as I was saying before, a QGIS has a great community, and this community, they are developing some of them, they develop plugins based on different uses. So for instance, the plugins that I normally use and that we will cover in a course are how you can geocode. That means how you can bring a table that has directions, addresses to a map, or how you can do isochrones. There's a different plugin to create isochrones. And so that's something that we will cover, how you can install plugins. Most of them are for free, and how you can use them for urban work.
Mm-hmm. Another question is about certificates. I did mention that we will provide the students with certificates or certificates of attendance or certificate of completion. And the question we had today in the Q&A box, thanks for today's session. Are there any any JS certificates, I guess apart from ours, or licenses that are accepted in the industry? Is it worthwhile from an employer's perspective? Because you, Juan, you worked with a lot of projects also as a consultant in this field. How does it help to acquire a job? How does it help to get a new client if you can prove that actually you have the skill? And I guess how helpful our certificate will be for people to move professionally.
Yeah, I think it's pretty useful, like in terms of, I think the key thing is like what you can do with QGIS in this case. So having like a certification is always good because you can show you, okay, you know how to do like different stuff with QGIS. But also it's quite important to like experience or like after the course, like you will have the tools to use these tools for, like for your like a different work, more specific. So I will encourage you to use it for like for your work. So certification is always good, but also like it depends on what are the different like projects that you will be working on.
And maybe related question to that is what is the likelihood of landing JS jobs without an explicit JS-based bachelor's and postgrad qualification?
I yeah, from my perspective, I think yes, they are like it's like a requirement for many like urban professionals like right now because you need to work with data. Like data is everywhere, so this is the way of getting into the data world, like from the urban perspective or from the geographical perspective. So I think like many jobs now they are asking you to know like the basics or advanced GIS, but in the future, I'm sure that it will be like a minimum, basically.
Yeah, I totally agree. What I see from all things urban perspective, also more and more jobs are having this as a requirement. And also, like, I think we had chat with one of the urbanists and said, like, it's like being in consultancy and not knowing PowerPoint. You could maybe do something, but it's becoming more and more of a must. You should know a certain skill, and data is everywhere. And there is no way to move forward career-wise without learning how to use data. And even if it's not extremely useful for you now, we all know that we change jobs, and it's extremely helpful, and it's a great bonus to have on the CV, because a lot of teams sometimes they have just one person on the team who is extremely overworked with all these tools, and if you come there and say, oh, I know how to use it, they say, oh wow, that's valuable, this person will save us resources, time, and it's extremely valuable employee. So I personally, from all things urban perspective, see it's like a huge asset.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
like idea there, like Anastasia, because like for you, I know that most of you have been working in the urban environment for a while, and then you know that you normally work with different professionals. So when I was working as an urban planning consultant, I had to work with heritage consultants, environmental consultants, and more. And some of them they will share with you like an AutoCAD file. Some of them will share with you a DXF file, Illustrator, but some of them will share like a shapefile or a geo package or other. And somehow, if you know GIS or you at least know how to manage this type of data, you are also like a quite useful within your like a team because you can speak or you have like the same like kind of language with these other professionals, and then you can like work like more fluidly with them. And also moving from different like areas within the urban environment. Let's say if you are an urban designer, you want to move into the heritage. I think GIS is like a great tool for these purposes.
Yeah, true. For those who are transitioning and who want to try
Yeah.
something new, to reinvent themselves, because I know a lot of us sometimes in mid careers and we feel like, okay, what should I do next? How do I change profession? I think JS is something that's really helpful. So I suggest we now go through the questions in the Q&A box. So just for, I saw that some of you upvoted them, and I invite you all to vote more. So we answer the most popular ones. The first one is pretty straightforward one. I'm first-time user of QGIS, coming from using ArcGIS. Is it useful to download the most recent version? 3.38 for Windows, or is it the long-term version 3.34 LTR better to learn with?
Yeah, my answer here is like I always recommend to use the like a more stable version. So the long version, I always recommend that because changes are not like a too big between versions. So I always recommend to use like a more stable version. at the beginning, and if you want to do something more special or the new version has something special, you download that, and you can have both on your computer as well. So that's like a really great. You can have like a different versions.
There was one question in the registration when people ask, what should our students with MacBooks do? Is there any, how should they approach? Like, is it possible for them to join the course?
Yeah, QGIS is great because you can install this like using Mac. Sorry, I'm using Mac, so I did the demo like using my MacBook Pro. So there's no problem regarding this.
Yeah. Another question is from Konstantina. Thanks for the interesting presentation. As an architecture student that needs to make beautiful presentations, is there a way to make those maps in a more architectural style using inside QGIS, or import them in Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, for example? So those who maybe also want to add it to their portfolios, etc.
Yeah, I think like the map that we're having like as a background, that's something which is coming from QGIS. I think it's nice. Obviously, you can do like a much nicer representations, and you will get the tools to do so. Because you can do like a really nice map using QGIS, like and we will show you how to do that. But if you want to export like the layers or the things that you're using here, you can always export your layers as like a DXF, and then you can import this into Illustrator if needed. Also, you can export Illustrator files into QGIS. It's like a bit more complex, but you can do that as well.
Thank you, Juan. Another question pretty popular from Aline asking, I have the feeling that QGIS is great when working with large scales, but how useful is it when working in smaller scales, let's say single block or site? And I know you, Juan, you worked also on consulting different clients with different types of projects. So maybe you could give examples where it could be actually helpful in real life.
Yeah, I think it depends on the like a use case, to be honest, but I don't know if you have been like working on a site and then you need to do some like a zoning checks and others. The thing with GIS is that it doesn't depend on the scale, like the studies or the analysis that you can make. If you're doing this like at a super small scale, or you're doing this like at a kind of citywide analysis, it doesn't matter. Like it won't take you more time. So basically, if you get the right data, you can do like a site analysis or like a city analysis or whatever. So I think this is great. So that's, and also if you are analyzing a site, let's say in one point of the city, and then you are analyzing a site like a few weeks, a few blocks away, you can reuse the same project to do the same type of analysis, instead of like creating one map for one thing and then another map collecting everything for doing like analysis like a few blocks away. So that's like a way GIS and QGIS is great for that.
Thank you. Another question is quite practical based on the first part of the presentation. Maybe we do have a lot of people in the audience from different regions. So the question comes up, are there any sources you can recommend to find GIS data for generally undeveloped areas? So we know, for example, you showed the example of London. What do people do if the areas are less developed, let's say?
I think like there is like a plugin that it's called OSM, Query OSM, where you can download data from OpenStreetMaps, and we will cover this plugin. Basically, OpenStreetMaps is like the Wikipedia of like a maps, and then you can download data like from this, like for free, like from amenities, like roads, buildings, and more. It also changes between countries. Obviously, it doesn't have like the same quality of data for all the countries, but you can acquire data like from this like pretty easily and do your analysis. And also at more like a country level, I would recommend you to go Google it like at country level or city level, and see if there is like a geospatial portal that has this data. Alternatively, you can also like if you have tables, you can also geolocate this information, and I will show you in the course like how you can get a table, a CSV, or an Excel sheet, and how you can geolocate this like as a point maps on a map using QGIS.
Thank you, Juan. So I guess it also answers the question someone is asking, will the course be helpful for someone who works on research project for a country which doesn't have data like Iraq? If so, please explain which course and how to obtain data for it. So I guess we answered this, right?
Yeah, because we will cover how to geolocate data, but also how you can create your own data sets. That means you can map data, you can add attributes, you can add like a columns, like a fields and more, and then you will have your own data sets.
Thank you. A little bit more technical question from Sohrab again. Hello, thanks for the session. My question is about the newer features in ArcGIS and even Felt for remote sensing, AI, computer vision tagging of features like trees and fluid online publishing. Have the add-ons in QGIS caught up to these other apps, and could you teach this? Or perhaps if it's not part of the course, can you answer this in the Q&A sessions, I suppose, because that's because you had experience working with Felt, so you know it briefly.
Yeah, at least from what I know from Feld, it doesn't have like a AI like a mapping tools yet. But in QGIS and Esri, obviously, it has like some of those tools, but are paid and quite expensive normally. And in QGIS, you have like a multiple plugins. There are like a few of them that allows you to like get raster files, let's say images, and do like a recognition of like elements, let's say trees or others, which we're not covering in this course. Maybe for like a more advanced one, like in the future. But I think this is like a more advanced kind of like a knowledge. And also it's super specific. And here we are covering like a more the specific tools that urban professionals need for their like work to become like a GIS analyst within the urban field, basically.
Thank you, Juan. Maybe wrapping up briefly, I think we'll have maybe 3 questions more and we have to wrap up. I saw one question in the audience asking that if someone hasn't registered for today's webinar, but you want to receive the recording, please make sure to still register at the webinar website. I sent the link in the chat because you will be then in our like webinar database, and we will send the follow-up in a few hours today. So the question from Tonya, as a professional trying to enter in the urbanism career path, what aspects of GIS uses are useful to be included in one's portfolio for potential employers? Maybe what are the top 3-5 things you would recommend people to keep in mind, and what they can also get from the course with us?
I think I have like 2 ideas. Like the first one is that if you use GIS, or in this case QGIS, the visualizations like a city scale or neighborhood scale, you can create like a nicer visualizations, like a much like a quicker using QGIS. So I think that's something that you could communicate in a way that you will be like a way more efficient, like doing the same like a type of work than anyone else, like that doesn't know like QGIS. And the other is that it's about like yeah, creating your own portfolio of maps of like a nice visualizations, like a different scales. I think it's part of like your like a CV creation somehow. So I think it's also important, and maybe having like a different like examples from different like countries or cities, so you can show that you know how to acquire data from different parts. I think will be something really nice as well.
Thank you, Juan. A few more questions about the course itself. So Harap is asking, is there no Q&A chances in the self-study option? Now, unfortunately, as we mentioned, the self-study is for those who happy to learn themselves or with their friend or team members. So those who need Q&A, we have advanced and premium options. And Nikolai is asking, is there document creation covered in the course? Not the analysis, but like proper creation process for master plans.
For master plans, I think you can create master plans out of it, like because if you're working, let's say in Vectorworks, and you have your projects like geolocated, you can export your layers as shapefiles, and you can import this into QGIS. Otherwise, but I'm not sure if I don't think like a QGIS is the right like a tool to map or to design. Basically, it's more to visualize your stuff like in context. You can also create like your polygons in QGIS, and then like create your kind of master plan or like a zoning type of like a map. But I would recommend to export your master plan from the software you're using, or AutoCAD or Vectorworks, import this into QGIS and make a visualization, let's say, of the location of your master plan, or like a zoom in or out, depending the type of output you need.
Thank you, Juan. Aber is asking, on the course, will we be able to complete exercise and using data we're using for our own projects for direct support?
How is that? If like
Will they be able to complete exercises using data the students using for their own projects for direct support?
yeah, I
I
think it
think
depends.
Yeah, I think it depends on the plan you choose. So if you choose the premium, like the advanced plan, which is the middle one, you will have exercises from Juan with exact, like it will also be divided in your, maybe you can tell more about this, Juan, that you're planning to give them based on the
In
different
advance,
fields
you
people
will
are with.
have, yeah, you will have like you can create your own project and you will get feedback on it. So in module number 6, I will show you like a kind of methodology to recreate like a project that goes from data acquisition to visualization, analysis, exporting your maps, and then you will need to propose this for your own project. And then I will give you feedback on this project. So in that case, for the advanced and premium, you will get like a feedback, personalized feedback based on your project, so based on your data and so on. And for the self-study, you will only get the assignment, but you won't get like a feedback.
Yeah, and for the premium one, we give you a personalized in-depth feedback. So if the advanced students get just like a general feedback whether your exercise is completed well or not, and then we give you a certificate. Those on the premium, you will also have 2 calls when you can bring your own projects, your data, and also discuss this apart from the project which you will be working on.
Yeah.
I think we have to wrap up. Let me briefly look for the Q&As again to see if there's anything like extremely important and upvoted question we have. Maybe just the last one, which we have with 2 upvotes is, have you tried image training to recognize patterns like vegetation and mapping to identify geodata from raw satellite images? If yes, what is the process for one to learn? Or is there something people should join the course to learn?
Yeah, this is more advanced and it's quite interesting. And there are like a few plugins which allows you to semi-automatic classification of like a raster imagery. And we're not covering that, but yeah, I'm happy to send you like a the plugins that you can use for these purposes. And again, once you are in this world of GIS and QGIS, it's super nice because there are like many things that you can do, and then you can say, okay, I want to learn like a raster, how to process like a raster data, and then you will go there, you will look for the right plugins and more, and then you will learn how to do that, and then you will do another thing. So it's really nice, all the things that you can do with QGIS in this case.
Thank you, Juan. The last question I promised before we go, I think it might be relevant for some of us. I have learned and used ArcGIS and planning a few years ago, but never used QGIS. Is this course also useful for people like me?
Yeah, of course. If you know how to use ArcGIS, I think it will be a bit quicker, for you to learn QGIS, because it's not exactly the same, but most of the tools and processes and geoprocessing tools that you have in ArcGIS are pretty similar to QGIS. So yeah, I will recommend you to join, and because you will learn how to do that, and also the files that you use in QGIS are the same or are compatible with ArcGIS, shapefiles, GeoPackages, geodatabases, and GeoJSON, and more.
No. Thank you so much, Juan. I think it's time for us to wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We had so many people today, so many questions. We really did our best to answer as many of them as possible. If you still have some questions, please send them at the email I posted in the chat, hello@allthingsurban.net. As I said, those of you who joined the webinar for the link without registering, please do register the registration page. We will send the recording within the next few hours. And if you want to learn more about the course, please go to the website I posted in the chat. We try to answer also a lot of questions there. As a reminder, the early bird with 20% off is valid until the end of this week, until Sunday. So you still have some time to decide to ask us questions. And we do look forward to welcoming you all. And we are very sure it will be extremely, extremely helpful, useful, practical, and will bring a lot of value to your work, to your professional growth, to your career. And yeah, we really did work hard, and we look forward to welcoming you all.
Yeah. I really yeah, I really enjoyed this session. It was like a really nice questions as well. And I hope to see you like in the course like in a few weeks. So many thanks. And thank you, Anastasia, for like
Yeah,
setting all this. It was
yeah.
great.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. And we see you at the next webinars, next sessions, and at the course. Please stay updated. I did send the Juan Pablo's LinkedIn in the chat earlier. Please subscribe to All Things Urban. We do have different sessions, and we will have more webinars soon. So bye, everyone.
Bye. See you.